Hey guys, Jason here, and I am bringing you another Duel Masters historical deck profile as you can obviously see. Now, in the last deck profile, we looked at the runner-up for the North American Continental Championships of 2006. It was a very interesting take on the RUB control deck that employed cards from the latest set, Shockwaves of the Shattered Rainbow. Same deal here. Just as a recap, the card pool, I believe, is from sets DM1 base set to DM10, Shockwaves of the Shattered Rainbow. Now, the first place winning deck is, well, unsurprisingly, a deck that revolves around this bad boy. Highly controversial card, highly desirable, Bombazar, Dragon of Destiny. So when you put this creature into the battle zone, destroy all of your other creatures that have power 6,000, and take an extra turn after this one. You lose the game at the end of that turn. He is, however, a speed attacker, and he is also a double breaker, so that's pretty neat. So what can I say about this guy? Bombazar is a very broken card. He's banned in Japan, and I think he was the first card set for the chopping block in the English game. I believe the official press release was he was put on watch list by Wizards of the Coast, but a ban never came into fruition because the Duel Masters game died not too long after that. But yeah, he's a pretty good card. I had a friend in high school, a very close friend, who made a deck with this guy. Naturally, when you're not earning money, it's quite hard to get your hands on some good cards. So he only had one Bombazar, but that didn't stop him from being effective with it. He would often just play it in combination with Creature Mass, so he wouldn't break shields early, and then he would summon Twin Cannon right after playing Bombazar. So in case his original field of like 5 creatures in Bombazar was enough to kill the opponent, the following turn with Bombazar and Twin Cannon should have been. When you play him, you really expect to win. You want to apply a lot of pressure with him and Twin Cannon. So I'll go over the multi-civs first, since they're going to be more interesting. We have 4 copies of Gauntlet the Warrior Savage, 2 mana 4K vanilla creature. That's pretty darn strong, I would say. It's very hard to get rid of. Most notably, he escapes the destruction spells that come in the early game. So that's your Crimson Hammer, that's your Phantom Dragon's Flame. He's just way too strong. He also goes over Hunterfish, Sarius, all the 2 mana 3K vanilla blockers. I think one of the reasons why Bloody Skeeto was able to stay relevant was because he trades well with Gonta, which is pretty crazy to think. Like a card, all the way from 9 sets ago is going to be very useful against a brand new powerful card. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So we just play Gonta for the early game aggression. That's really all there is to it. This is a rush deck. You just beat down on your opponent until they have no shields left. Now, the other multi-civ card we have is Gonta's brother, Windax the Warrior Savage. So his effect reads, once he hits the field, destroy one of your opponent's blockers, then put the top card of your deck into your mana zone. So that's pretty interesting. I feel like Windax isn't a card that is splashed into every deck. I think a lot of the time he can serve as dead weight, especially the 5 mana cost, but I think in this deck he works extremely well. This is because you want to be able to rush down your opponents. You want to make sure that they aren't able to block you, especially when you have Bombazar and or Twin Cannon out later into the game. So Windax definitely does serve a purpose. I think the mana acceleration effect is a nice added bonus because this deck doesn't mind having cards into the mana zone, as we will see a little bit later. So Windax definitely has great synergy in the deck. I think 4 copies might seem a bit excessive, but I guess if you're trying to hit them constantly, then it does make sense. He's a creature too, so I suppose that's why Ben plays him over cards like Comet Missile, which only costs 1 mana. Just to go over some of the other creatures real quick, naturally we have 4 Aquahulkus. We need to use fire and nature because those are the civilizations that Bombazar is, but we need some water to draw some cards so we can go through our deck a little more quickly so that we're not so susceptible to discarding strategies and to stop ourselves from running out of steam by running out of cards. So 4 Aquahulkus, he's there for the pluses. We also have 4 Aqua Surfer, who's probably just used for his shield trigger effect. Once he hits a field bounce a creature, you're playing against another rush deck, it's really devastating for them to hit Aqua Surfer because then you can bounce one of their creatures and then trade or kill what broke him to begin with. So I think that's really useful. Yeah, not much to comment on there. I think he's a lot more valuable than Corel in this build, and I'm glad that Ben was able to acknowledge that. For some nature creatures, we've got 3 Bronze Arm Tribe, and once he hits the field, get a mana. Pretty good. Bronze Arm's really good for setting up into your Windax, the Warrior Savage play. So you can play Windax on turn 4. I think that's pretty good. And also, once you consider, that's some pretty crazy mana acceleration if you're able to play Bronze Arm and then play Windax, because that basically puts you 2 mana ahead of your opponent if you're charging every turn. We also play 2 Essence Elf, who's pretty neat. Your spells cost 1 less to cast. They cannot cost less than 1. And as you can see here, we are playing not too many spells, but enough. I feel like if we were playing more spells, we would be maxed out on Essence Elf. But, you know, the fact of the matter is we only play 8 spells, so that's why we're probably able to get away with only playing 2. The next card, or I guess, yeah, the next nature card we'll look at is Poisonous Mushroom. When you put this creature into the battle zone, you may put 1 card from your hand into your mana zone. I like the flavor text. You won't find these mushrooms on salads. Yes, as the name would indicate. So Poisonous Mushroom, I think, is a card that doesn't fit into every deck, but again, he fits very well into this deck. The name of the game is mana acceleration. You want to be able to hit your numbers as fast as you can so that you can, you know, quickly finish off the game with Bombazar. You just overwhelm your opponent with blistering speed. Poisonous Mushrooms helps with that, and, you know, we're playing 4 energy stream, so we're not running out of cards just yet. Now, before I get into a deeper discussion about the spells, I also just want to finish covering the creature section. First time, I think, we are seeing Scarlet Skyterror in one of these lists. So, another old card. It's very interesting to me that a lot of these cards are from base set. But anyway, Scarlet Skyterror reads, when you put this creature into the battle zone, kill all your opponent's blockers, 8 mana 3k. So I think for a lot of decks, Scarlet Skyterror is a pretty bad addition. You might as well play more standard control cards. You might as well play like Death Smoke. You might as well play Corile. Because 8 mana is so expensive. But the thing is, this deck is trying to kill your opponent and kill them dead, right? So I think Scarlet Skyterror is really good in setting up for a big Bombazar turn. You play Scarlet, you rid your opponent of all of his blockers, and then you play Bombazar, and then you win. However, I do not think we are going to be hard casting Scarlet Skyterror or his brother Twin Cannon Skyterror very often because of Soul Swap. Now, before I get into Soul Swap, I'll just finish up covering the creatures. Twin Cannon Skyterror, Speed Attacker, Double Breaker. He is usually your backup swinger after you play Bombazar. It's important to note that you cannot play 2 Bombazars, or at least there's no point in playing 2 Bombazars, because he is power 6,000. So if you're to like play Bombazar turn 1, and then on the following turn you play another Bombazar, the new Bombazar will kill the old Bombazar. So, you know, there's no point, and that's probably why Twin Cannon is good. He could try to make a case for Pyrofighter Magnus, but I think the fact that Twin Cannon Skyterror breaks 2 shields and goes over more blockers is, you know, reason enough for me to not want to play Pyro. So here we go, the moment you've all been waiting for. I'm going to talk about Soul Swap. You may choose a creature in the battle zone. I like how it says you may. Put it into its owner's mana zone. If you do, choose a non-evolution creature in that player's mana zone that costs the same as or less than the number of cards in the mana zone. That player puts that creature into the battle zone. So let me just explain how Soul Swap will work in this deck. Usually you will be using Soul Swap on yourself to get more value out of your mana. Let's say you have 6 cards in your mana zone, and let's say Bombazar is sitting in that 6 cards. What you're going to want to do is you're going to tap 3 mana, leaving you with 3 untapped mana. You can tap Bombazar for the mana that you're going to use for Soul Swap. So you use that 3 mana to Soul Swap in your Bronze Arm from your field. That puts you at 7 mana, 4 untapped, 3 tapped, and because you're sitting at 7 mana, you're able to choose Bombazar from your mana zone and just bring him out. So that's pretty crazy, right? Soul Swap, very strong. You basically summoned a 7 mana creature for the cost of 3, and you have additional mana to play with. Once you consider how you can combo that with Essence Elf, that becomes even stronger because Soul Swap costs only 2. If you have both of your Essence Elves out, it costs only 1, which is absolutely insane. Once you consider mana acceleration becomes really good, you want your heavy hitters to be in your mana zone. You've got Bronze Arm Tribe for that. You've got Wind Axe for that. Again, super good. Great synergy there. And yeah, we've also forgot to mention Poisonous Mushroom, so we don't really mind having cards in our mana zone. In fact, we want them there. So that is how we're going to be getting out Scarlet Skytear. Scarlet Skytear really expensive. I feel like most of the time you're not going to be hard casting Scarlet, or hard summoning him, I should say. I think a lot of the time you're going to be getting him out with Soul Swap. So I don't think it's unfathomable for you to be sitting at 9 mana and then you just swap in Scarlet Skytear and you summon Bombazar, something like that. So I guess another application of Soul Swap is that it can be used defensively. I think more often than not, you're going to be using it on yourself to summon your high-cost creatures, but it is worth acknowledging that desperate times call for desperate measures. Let's say you're staring down a Bombazar. What you can do is you can Soul Swap out your opponent's Bombazar and exchange it for a Bloody Skeeto or an Emerald or something like that. So, pretty good. Now, Soul Swap is also another card that's banned in Japan. Not sure if I mentioned that, but I think that's just a testament to how good the card is. And, you know, after all these years, it's still super good. Now, going into the deck distribution by Civ, I don't see any major problems here. I've got Fire, Fire Nature, Nature Water. That's okay. They only have 4 straight up fire cards, but in the Fire Nature section, they've got 12. So they basically have 16 fire cards. Good distribution there. I think in the earlier turns, you're going to want to be charging Wind Axe, just so you have that amount of flexibility and him being able to serve as Fire or Nature. Or perhaps Gauntlet, but I think you're going to want to summon him a lot of the time. Distribution by cost is looking good. You have a lot of cards that you're able to play on turn 2. 10 cards, so nearly a quarter of the deck can be played on turn 2. As we mentioned, this is an aggressive deck. And on turn 3, these are when all your pluses start coming in. So I think that's pretty awesome to see. With the 5 mana, 6 mana, 7 mana, 8 mana, I think they're all fairly self-explanatory. Once you realize whenever you want to summon any of these guys, it's only going to cost between 1 and 3 mana because of Soul Swap. You just gotta say, wow, that's pretty darn good. I don't have much experience with Bombazar Blue, but based on the lists I've seen, this one looks very cookie cutter, and I mean that in a good way. The changes I'll now recommend are really to just cater the deck to my taste. Now, I'd first start by removing a copy of Wind Axe and Scarlet to bring it down to an even 40 cards. I'd then replace the Poisonous Mushrooms with 3 Fairy Life and a 3rd Twin Cannon. I personally don't like the pressure Poisonous Mushroom puts on your hand, especially with Energy Stream as the only real hand refresh. Yes, you gain a body, but I prefer Fairy Life not only because it alleviates pressure on the hand, Cranium Clamp, but I think it also makes it easier for us to get the thick boys into mana. As for Twin Cannon number 3, I think having an extra one helps, especially given the pitifully low vanilla fire count. Dropping a Twin Cannon early also makes it easier for us to finish the game with Bombazar. To really abuse Poisonous Mushroom, I think you could perhaps make a version maxed out on Energy Stream, Brain Serum, and Twin Cannon. You go nuts ramping mana and drawing cards to max out your outs to turn 5 Twin Cannon. Maybe it's not the most optimal thing in the world, but it sounds like a good time. For some additional talking points, I think Rumbling Terrorhorn suits the deck because it is made up of mostly creatures. You have some good mana acceleration, and Rumbling Terrorhorn provides a body while getting you the guy you need at the time you need him. In the context of modifying the original build, I'd say keep the 2 Scarlets and do a 2-2 split between Rumbling Terrorhorn and Wind Axe. Pyrofighter Magnus is also a consideration because there will be turns where you can summon 2 speed attackers. Imagine your second Bombazar turn where you drop Pyro and Twin Cannon. That's pretty wild, I guess. But I feel like a lot of the time Pyro will be dead weight just because it costs 3 mana to summon him each turn. I feel like the best count for him in the deck is at 1 or maybe 2 copies, but he's not game swinging enough like Scarlet to be worth it. I also left a link to a Bombazar thread in the description if anyone's interested in going over that. There's some, shall we say, aggressive behavior, but if you sift through the BS, there's some good info in there too. The only major problem that I can see this deck running into is not being able to pull off its combos because of all of the multi-civ cards it has. So 12 out of the 42 cards in this deck are multi-civ. Remember, multi-civ cards go into the mana zone tapped. So if you're trying to pull off some mana-tight combos, that could sort of get in the way. So just a very simple example, let's say you're sitting at 5 mana, you play Bronze Arm Tribe, you get a mana, so that puts you at 3 mana untapped, and then you can summon Aquahulkus. I consider that a very strong play because of all of the card advantage you're able to build up for later turns. However, if the card that you flip over from Bronze Arm's effect happens to be a multi-civ card, then you're just left in a lurch. In saying that, maybe it isn't the biggest deal because Essence Elf puts a lot of efficiency in terms of your spell casting. These only cost 3 mana, so if you have one Essence Elf out, they only cost 2, and I think a lot of the time 2 mana is not a hard requirement to hit, so maybe that makes it okay. You also have a lot of low-cost cards in the form of Poisonous Mushroom and Essence Elf and Gauntlet, as we've pointed out, so maybe that makes it okay as well. So yeah, perhaps my concern may not be so valid because of how the deck is constructed. I just wanted to let you guys know as well, the third place list for this event was also a 3-color Bombazar, used the same colors, but he used more techie cards. He used cards like Rikaboo Screwdriver, which is a 2 mana 1k creature, tap ability, kill a blocker. He used Volcano Charger, 4 mana Charger, Crimson Hammer. He also played Rumbling Terrahorn, which is a 5 mana 3k creature Dimension Gate, and he played Crystal Memory, which is a search for any card in your deck. I think those were the main ones, but I think that was a bit too teched out for my liking, and all the changes I'd recommend would probably make it look like Ben's list over here. So that is the last of the North American tournament winning decks I'm going to be covering. I do have 2 more historical deck profiles planned out, so don't you worry. But as always, I very much enjoy your support. I very much enjoy you guys watching my videos, and I hope you were able to learn something new or derive some entertainment out of it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.